everybody. My name is Jyoti, and you're listening to Agnex podcast, Quality Food for Billions. Food quality and safety was, is, and perhaps will be a major concern and also the greatest problems for the world. Building safer food chains is a burning issue, and globalization of food trade requires the development of a more integrated and preventive approach within the food safety systems. The increasing role of new and innovative technology in food production, post harvest treatment, processing, and packaging are significant in the context of food safety and more globalized food trade. So, we at AgNext are trying to solve this food quality using new age technology, enabling quality based trade. We are also starting up our own podcast channel, Quality Food for Billions, wherein we shall be taking up discussions with the industry experts and the industry veterans on various food quality concerns and finding out new ways to analyze and evaluate them. I would like to welcome you all to the first episode of our podcast series. I'm your host, Jyoti, and in today's episode, we'll be talking about making the dairy industry resilient with Mr. Rajesh Lele. In this episode, we'll be discussing how adaptable has the dairy industry become since 2020 and how is the industry coping with situations like milk adulteration as those have been on a rise due to supply chain disruptions. Our guest today, Mr. Rajesh Lele, is an esteemed dairy business consultant with an overall experience of 37 years and with a great passion to revolutionize the dairy industry. Hi, Mr. Rajesh. Thank you for joining us today.
First of all, thanks Agnes for giving me this opportunity to present my views on different aspects of dairy industry.
So, sir, as in the past year, we've experienced major supply chain disruption in the dairy industry that was caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. So, how is 2021 treating? And also, as we move ahead month by month, we might face a similar kind of situation with the onset of COVID's second wave. So, how prepared is the dairy industry to face if the same situation occurs again?
So, your question is very apt for this situation. Last year, it was a very unprecedented situation which dairy industry faced, and nobody knew how to react to that. But dairy is such a industry which cannot stop.
Yes.
Cows will continue to give milk, farmers will continue to pour milk, and consumers, come what may, need milk for consumption.
Absolutely.
So dairy industry last year reacted in a very matured way and did everything out of turn with lot of risk for the people, but they completed this chain and delivered the product to consumer. Yes, there are a couple of segments of dairy industry. One is consumer segment, where there were initial challenges of logistics, but which were covered quickly. The B2B and HoReCa industry got affected, got paralyzed in a big way, but we sailed out of that situation, and all this demand came back early this year. But now, within last say a few weeks, we are experiencing a second wave of COVID, and it is now clear that 2021 is also going to experience lot of disruptions. But with last year's experience, now dairy industry is quite settled, and they are ready to face this second wave or these disruptions. There may be some partial lockdowns, there may be restrictions, but dairy industry is ready to face this situation 2021. What has made them to face this situation? One is the use of technology, which has been incorporated during last year. Industry invented new ways of running the business with the help of technology, and that is what is definitely going to help, and we are prepared especially in Maharashtra. There is a very severe second wave which we are experiencing.
Yes.
But dairy industry is prepared. All over the world, there will be ups and downs in the demand, but dairy industry will service the consumers. That is for sure.
That's quite heartening to know, sir. So, sir, like speaking of the budget of 2020-21 that has advanced the existing provisions to facilitate doubling of India's annual milk processing capacity from 53.5 million tons to 108 million tons by 2025. So, sir, keeping the above viewpoint in mind and owing to the potential of the dairy sector, the government has also initiated various dairy development programs, namely the National Program for Dairy Development, National Dairy Plan, Dairy Entrepreneurship Development Scheme, and many more. And also that currently 20% of the milk that passes, it passes through the organized sectors. That is 10% of the cooperatives and 10% goes to the private sector. The rest 80% comprises to the unorganized sectors, which can be distributed amongst milkmen, local vendors from 32% and self-consumption to 48%. So our question regarding this context is that will these government schemes really help the entrepreneurs and the existing organizations to upgrade their infrastructure and capture the untapped potential?
Very good question. Dairy industry is in focus of Government of India since last few years, especially 4-5 years. Yes. It is in focus, and this is one industry which government knows that can change the complete scenario of rural India, because 70% of the rural livelihood is dependent on agriculture first, and dairy is the largest GDP contributing segment in agriculture. This is one segment which provides livelihood to millions of farmers, and this industry provides. The payments are every 10 days, every 15 days. So around a year, they continue to get money, unlike in agriculture, which is a very seasonal industry. So first is there is a definite focus of Government of India on dairy, and they have done a lot of schemes they have introduced over last 4 or 5 years. As you rightly mentioned, that only 20% of the milk produced is handled in organized sector. Yes. And organized sector is the one which can give further stability to the industry and to farmer. Organized sector must grow, and organized sector is growing over a period. There is a challenge of infrastructure, because organized sector in dairy cold chain is the main infrastructure which is required, which is lacking. And there is a focus of Government of India. All these schemes which you mentioned are primarily focusing on post-harvest processing of milk.
Yes.
The moment milk is drawn, it has to be chilled, it has to be handled in a proper way, right up to consumer. So these schemes all aim to provide infrastructure for handling of milk. And once the infrastructure facility is available, there will be industries, organized industries, which will come in and avail that infrastructure and try to reach to the last mile in the villages. Even today, there are so many villages where industries are not reaching. Yes. There is a lot of potential of producing milk, but because processing facility is not available, farmers are not able to dispose that milk, and they are not benefited. So with these schemes, Government of India, which they have proposed, there is going to be, and these schemes are not new actually. These schemes are going on in some or the other way since last 10 years, and a lot of industry, especially cooperatives, have taken a big advantage of these industries to the benefit of their member farmers. So these schemes will continue, and these schemes will help farmers to grow their milk, to double their income by 2025, whatever is the government of India's aim to achieve that.
All right.
One point I would like to mention here, that as you rightly said, that whatever organized sector milk handling is there in India, which is about 20%, it is almost 50% in cooperative sector and 50% in private sector. Private sector has huge potential of investing and creating assets in this industry. So private sector also should be treated at par with cooperative sector in these schemes. This has recently started. Many of these schemes were till last year only restricted for cooperative sector, and a lot of development has taken place. Now private sector is coming forward, and private sector also should get benefit of these schemes for creating infrastructure and reaching to farmers. As far as proportion of organized and unorganized sectors is concerned, in India, what is unorganized sector? Unorganized sector is the local distribution of milk in the villages, local consumption of milk, unprocessed milk, raw milk, which is distributed in the villages. And a large part of unorganized sector is Indian traditional sweet meat market. That market is still out of the ambit of organized sector. What is needed to bring it into organized sector? One is a lot of research is happening in producing these sweet meats, Indian traditional sweets, in a standardized way. The shelf life of these sweets is a major challenge for organized sector, because most of these sweets have shelf life of few days. And if organizations they produce, they need shelf life of at least 20-21 days for distributing these sweets in a proper way. So a lot of research has to happen, a lot of inputs have to come, and this will happen with packaging. A lot of innovative packaging is coming in these products that will change the scenario of sweet meat. Many industries, we see Amul has come out with so many products, but still they are away from traditional sweet meat products. So traditional sweet meat products is the key to change the scenario or change the balance between unorganized and organized dairy industry. And that is the key for changing or reversing this proportion of unorganized and organized sector.
The disbalance, very rightly said.
I think I have covered all your points.
Yes, sir. So, all right, sir, coming to the next point, supply chain disruptions amidst COVID-19 and the government's plan to increase the processing capacity have led to the increasing rates of adulteration and milk fraud cases. So various news platforms have also covered the surveys conducted by FSSAI around milk safety and recent fraud cases, raising a big question on the quality of milk and how this is becoming a major cause of concern for the dairy processing industries. So, Mr. Lele, we would like to know that how are the dairy companies ensuring adulteration-free milk at the procurement levels?
Okay, I will definitely give full marks to FSSAI, who has come up with a lot of regulations, and these regulations are industry-friendly regulations. Earlier, it used to be that if something goes wrong, you catch the neck of industry, and industry would not react to that. But now they are industry-friendly regulations, and it is not only regulations, they are also coming out with a lot of support, lot of guidelines for industry to improve upon the quality of milk. So that is one part as far as a regulator is concerned. Yes, there are concerns of adulteration of milk, but if you see, most of the times it becomes a breaking news for the media. But if you see, if somebody goes into the depth of these surveys and these results, most of the adulteration is happening in unorganized sector. Organized sector is becoming very conscious about their name, their brand, and consumer safety. Organized sector is doing many things to protect consumer. So in organized sector, you see very few cases of adulteration. But yes, I will not give clean chit to any sector. But this is primarily the distribution, that almost 90% of the adulteration cases are found in unorganized sector. So that is one part. Again, increase or growth of organized sector is the key to curb this adulteration. First part. Second part is organized sector is giving lot of focus or lot of importance to the quality of milk which they collect. So they are reaching right up to farmers. They are educating farmers. They are creating awareness in the with the farmers, and correcting the things instead of policing. What they are doing is prevention. So prevention of it is not only adulteration. Adulteration is one part, which of course in organized sector is very, very minimal. But there are concerns like contaminants like antibiotics in milk, then other toxins which we call aflatoxin in milk. These are to be prevented right at the farmer level. And thanks to the technology, now there are equipment available, although they are a bit expensive, but there is technology available which can give quick results. Before you collect milk, before you accept milk, within few seconds or a minute or 2 minutes, you can get these results, and you can get indication that there is something wrong in the milk. Then you can isolate that and test for detailed analysis. But this is giving, and the use of this technology is increasing day by day in organized sector, and they are resorting to these testings and prevention of milk, or rather prevention of adulteration and contamination in milk. The organized sector has even started boldly declaring on their packaging that yes, this milk is antibiotic free, this milk is adulteration free. They can do only if they are 110% sure that in the complete chain, right from farmer, they are taking all precautions to ensure that this milk is really safe for consumption of the consumers. So this is happening, and I see there will always be some percent of elements which will not fit in this stream, but that is exception, that is not the rule. So industry is progressing in a very positive manner to curb adulteration and again assure the best product to the consumer. Yes,
absolutely. Okay, so lastly, sir, the average milk yield of an indigenous buffalo in India is only 6.3 kgs per day, which is significantly less than the global standards. In addition, the disease resistance and feed efficiency ratio are on the decline. So can the improved quality of milk feed cope with this issue?
Yes. You mentioned about buffalo. I will talk about buffalo and cow both, because almost 50% of milk in India is cow milk, and of course there is buffalo milk. Cow and buffalo, there are two aspects of milk yield. One is feeding to the cow,
Yeah.
but most important aspect
Yeah.
is the management of the animal.
Yeah.
You feed the cow, but if cow is not well, if cow is not healthy, that cow or buffalo, the animal, is not healthy,
Yeah.
it will not have capacity to convert that feed into milk yield.
Yeah.
And that feed will go waste.
Yeah.
It is a huge economic loss, not only to the farmer, but also a national loss.
Yes.
Because there is shortage of feed in India. There is 43% shortage of feed, animal feed in India. I am talking about fodder, green fodder and
Yes.
other feeds. So any feed not utilized to its best capacity to convert into milk, it's a national loss.
Yes.
So that is one part. So we have to maintain the cattle. We have to ensure that cattle are in healthy condition. So management of cattle is first important thing. Second part, which you mentioned about feed, yes, there are compound feeds available. Again, lot of technology, lot of new products have come in India. Many international companies have started their production in India in this area of feed.
Yeah.
Cattle feed is also one thing which FSSAI is now covering under the regulations. So far, there are no regulations on feed, but they have issued a draft notification, and within few months, cattle feed, compound cattle feed will also fall under FSSAI ambit. So that is a good step, that the quality of feed will be standardized. And once that quality of feed is standardized, there will definitely be a benefit, because today people are, very sorry to say, but giving anything under any label and claiming something which is not really there in the product, but they are getting away because there is no regulation. So with regulation, feed industry will also get much organized, and that will help uh, in resolving this problem. Not, I won't say resolving, but there will be a good impact on production.
Yeah.
But again, feed is not the only solution. Feed and management of the cattle, farm management is what is important, and that will come only through the education to the farmers. Again, we have all information, we have all knowledge available with us. It has to be transmitted, it has to be transferred to the farmers, and that is how we can improve the yield of the cows. We cannot compare this with international standards today, because it is not an apple to apple situation. The climatic conditions and the breed development in Western world are much different than India. India is still a traditional dairy producing company, which also has its own advantages also. So we should preserve those advantages of a traditional dairy and improve with the technology which is available, and get a balance, golden balance. We should not aim at 40 liter, 50 liter of yield from each cow, but yes, it should improve. The sustainable yield from any animal is about 12 liters, minimum 12 liters, 12 to 15 liters per day. So we should aim at that
So, sir, in addition to this, you feel that technology intervention is the answer to this?
Yes, technology intervention is the answer to every industry. And in dairy also, there is a tremendous scope for technology intervention. And India has been always a traditional industry, dairy, particularly dairy industry. But things are changing in animal health, in animal welfare. There is also a lot of technology coming in. Just to give an example, there is a remote animal testing facility which is also available.
Yeah.
Of course, it is yet to reach the masses, but yes, there is a lot of technology which is available. Automated feeding, automated tracking of animal health. All these things are available. It will take some time to reach to the grassroots level, but yes, it is available, and that is the key. But not blindly. We should not just adopt anything blindly.
Yeah.
Because Indian conditions, Indian traditional conditions are different. So it has to be adopted for the Indian conditions of industry, and which experts are also realized, and they are working on these solutions.
All right. So I would thank you so much. I would like to extend a heartwarming thank you to you for taking out the time and speaking about the tech interventions that can revolutionize the milk industry. So thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for this opportunity.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us this week in our podcast episode on making the dairy industry resilient. Please make sure to visit our website, www.agnex.com, and you can visit us on social media as well, on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and provide your suggestions regarding any topic or speaker suggestions via Messenger or via tweet. If you liked your episode, please revisit it by subscribing to our YouTube channel, Agnex World. Stay tuned for our next podcast episode coming real soon. Thank you for listening.